Well, hi everybody. This is Roger in Kansas City. You know, I have been out for a while combating the forces of evil. And in the end, righteousness does prevail. But don't think for a second that evil doesn't get some pretty good punches in until righteousness prevails. So here we are, we're going back to Hoover Dam. I spent some time here about 3 years ago looking at this picture. And it wasn't the best video, it wasn't the best quality. And in the past 3 years, I've had quite a few advances in the technology I use. So I'm going back, I'm going to re-show some things that some of you may have seen, but there's going to be more in this video than what was in the previous video. This is from a picture taken from a panoramio photo that used to be on Google Earth. Google Earth got rid of all of the panoramio pictures. I think they got rid of them because they could not control all of the submissions. And some of them had things like this in them. So that's why they're not there anymore, and this is the only place you can see this photo, I assume. In this video, we'll be looking at this area right here. Zoom in a little bit. But there are quite a few, what some people may call anomalies, what I call non-human entities that are occupying this space. Now, they may be physically there, they may be somehow metaphysically there. I kind of think they're out of phase, but we'll get into that further. So let's continue, but before we go, I just want to point out, here's a dam bridge. There's a couple of dam cars, and there's some tiny dam people walking on the dam bridge. Here's a close-up of the area. We will be referring to this picture a few times just so I can show you what part of the area we're looking at. So first we're going to look down in here. Let's take a look. This is a great photo. Do you see the face? I'll point it out. Here's an eye, nose, mouth. Do you see the tongue? And this is protruding from the hillside. Measurements are roughly 50 feet high by 35 feet wide. And that is there as plain as day. We'll take another look at this. I've done a little bit of enhancement work on this just to bring out some detail. And I've also put it on the 3D imager. And it's not so much 3D as you can just kind of change the viewing angle, but you can see, and there's a good shot of the tongue right there. And yeah, that's certainly what it appears to be. Let me know what you think about this one. Now this is just below the face we were looking at. We have these what appear to be ghostly looking figures, but then we can see figures that look more like humanoid. We see this hunched over man here, we see a profile there, we certainly see a face here, and there's Snoopy, of course. I mean, why wouldn't he be there? If that's not Snoopy, I don't know who it is. I know from working with these pictures, if the picture is taken from a relatively close distance, you can't see it. If it's too far away, you can't see it. There's a sweet spot, maybe a couple hundred feet out, and I don't know how much further, but from a certain distance and a certain angle, you can see this stuff. It may be in our DNA that we just cannot see it, but the cameras allow us to see this. It is there. What's going on? Your guess is as good as mine. Do they interact with us? I believe so. Do missing people cases have anything to do with this? I think so. Moving on, I debated a little bit on whether to leave this picture in the video or not, but I'm going with it. It's lifted from the shadows, so that's why it's kind of dark and grainy. But you can see this is a profile of a man, the face of a man. You can see he has short hair. You see he's wearing glasses. He has this goatee, or more of a Fu Manchu mustache, with this beard. And the significance of this is, I think, important, because you see this man, or this representation of the man with the short hair, glasses, and beard in many photos. I've never shown it before, but it's time to start showing this guy. He's in many photos. I don't know who he is, but I think it's significant. So I'll just leave that for you to think about. And if you have any comments, please feel free. Panning back out, we're going to look at this area next. Then after that, we're going just to the left of it and looking over here. This is a very interesting picture. Let's start back here. You see this large rounded thing? That is a flying craft. This is the windshield. This is an insignia beneath the windshield. I have seen these in a number of photographs. We have a large person standing next to it. There's his hat. There he is. He's a little blurry in the background. We have these two large beings. They appear to be seated out front here, and they're roughly in the 40 to 50 foot range. That's about what this would be also. We see this guy, see his eyes, kind of white face, and here's his buddy, Count Dracula, sitting right next to him. He's got the Dracula hairdo, the widow's peak. He looks like he's a little pissed off. His arms are folded, and he's just sitting there like, when are we leaving this dreadful planet? I want to go back home to Vampira land. I'm not very good at winging this. Okay, so there they are. There's some other, appears to be other entities all around. There's a lot of entities in pictures like this, but there's always some key figures. Again, we have these two guys and the large ship behind them. Now, we were just looking over here at the ship and Dracula and his friend. Off to the left, we have a runway. It's a landing area that apparently goes into the mountainside. I've had a lot of difficulty working with this picture. It's like my 6th try. Every time I put it on the editor to finish it, it just turns into a blurry mess. So I'm doing a different technique. I'm not trying to zoom in as much, but you can see that we have this runway area. We have these figures on the mountainside that they represent a language of some sort. I'm almost certain that's what it is. But there's also what appears to be some sort of lettering down here. We have a ship actually casting a shadow onto the runway. Now, I have looked at other pictures and I can't find this. I can't even find a flat area. So something strange is going on. You can see this, and this is as much as I can zoom in on this picture apparently, but it's a pretty good picture and you can see it's there. A channel I like to watch, the guy always says, we find this to be highly compelling. Well, I find this to be highly compelling for sure. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Let's go to our next picture. So I tried one last time to get a close-up of this area, and I did succeed a little bit, but I'm just going to leave it right here. I just wanted you to see these faces a little bit more. Let me try to adjust this. We'll leave it there. But you can see the faces. I hope you can see the writing. You can see the runway, and you can see the craft. Okay, so next, we're right around the corner from the runway. Again, I say this a lot, but in my humble opinion, this is the greatest picture of all time ever. Now, I know it's a little hard to see, but we'll close in on this. But we have a large entity standing right here in front of 3 smaller entities, and there's an entity up here who appears to have jumped off the cliff and is either falling or floating down to the ground. Let's go ahead and go up a notch. Now here's the large entity, and here's 3 smaller ones standing in front of this person, and I have every feeling it just looks like a female to me. That's how it hits me. And this female is holding a large staff right here and has a headdress on, kind of a white face, smiling, and there's her little minions that she's talking to. The guy in the center, the smaller guy in the center where I'm pointing at, looks very much to be in some sort of oriental looking costume, dress. And the other two, that's a little nondescript. Just go another notch. Here's the guy who's falling or jumping, and you can see his face. He has a surprised look on his face. He has this backwards 7 insignia on his wardrobe here, and his arms are out as if he's jumped down and he's a little frightened. Let's take a closer look at him. There he is, and I think you can make out the face fairly clearly. I don't think those are tourists. I think they live there, or they visit there, and maybe they land in that landing area. A lot of people apparently fly into this location, and I do believe that there's a large facility in the mountainside and possibly all around Hoover Dam. I think Hoover Dam, was built for, for power needs, but also for their power needs. There's so much on Hoover Dam. I haven't even scratched the surface on it. It's an amazing subject to delve into. I could do a channel just on Hoover Dam. There's 100 videos on Hoover Dam. I got a couple of shout outs to some people I speak to on a fairly regular basis. One guy here in Kansas City, and I'm gonna risk it. Mr. Derby, I appreciate all your input. And Mr. Derby is a follower of the channel and has been for some time, and I frequently run into Mr. Derby. And to Mr. CB, for whom this video you're seeing right now, it is in its present form. He's the one who lit my rear end up to get on the ball. So thank you, Mr. CB. It was great talking to you yesterday. Thank you for watching. This is Roger in Kansas City, and I'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.